Hey YouTube, I'm making this video specifically, well, for Dan and all those other gay YouTubers out there that send me and Brian lots of letters talking about the men they've met and fallen in love with, and then something happens where the relationship doesn't work out, things get bad, things fall apart, and then people want to kind of, they get really down on love and on gay relationships and meeting the man of their dreams. And I think that sometimes when you watch mine and Brian's videos, and you see videos like our love story, we don't get to tell you the whole story. So I wanted to share a few experiences with you guys. I've been in love 3 times in my life with 3 different men. Um, and I thought that maybe sharing some of those experiences with you guys would help out and make you understand that just because your first or second relationship doesn't necessarily work out, doesn't mean that you're not going to find the man of your dreams and spend the rest of your life happily. Um, my first boyfriend was named Jesse, and I was 18 years old, and I was in the United States Army. And I remember I was sitting at a mall having lunch by myself in uniform, and I saw across the food court this really sexy lieutenant in his beret and his uniform. And in the military, there's tons of good-looking guys. Um, and I remember he was looking at me, and he was a military police officer. He had his military police badge on, and he kept staring at me, and I got kind of uncomfortable. Well, Jesse got up, came over to me and sat down, and he started talking to me and introduced himself as his name Jesse. And we were talking, and he hit on me. And at that time, I had never been with a man. I had never dated a man. I had never, I knew I was gay, but I was kind of hiding it. I was kind of in the closet. And here is this lieutenant in a military outfit with the MP on his sleeve, making a pass at me. And he goes, he basically said he thought I was very attractive and that he would like to go out sometime. And here I am thinking this is a setup. Well, he gave me his phone number and told me that it was safe and that that he was gay and he wasn't trying to get me arrested or anything. And if I ever wanted to get together, just to give him a call. Well, 2 weeks go by, and that's the only person I had on my mind for 2 weeks. I mean, I was obsessed with this guy, this very good-looking lieutenant in a uniform. And so I finally called him. Well, that relationship lasted 3 years long. I mean, we had an incredible relationship. It was a lot of fun. It was definitely a learning experience. It taught me a lot about what it meant to be gay and what it meant to be dating another gay man. It also had a lot of bad things. Jesse was a constant cheat. He was never faithful with us. He lied. He was very controlling. He was not a good partner. At the time I thought I was in love. I thought this would be the person I spent my life with. But I realized maybe 2 years into the relationship that this was not the relationship for me. So eventually I got out of the military and ended that relationship with Jesse. And it didn't end on a good note, but it was definitely a learning experience for me. It made me understand what I did and didn't want from a relationship. I wanted honesty. I wanted somebody who was going to tell me the truth and be open. Um, and not lie and play games. So I got back here to California, and I was started to go to the junior college, and then I met another guy by the name of Kurt. Now Kurt was an incredible guy. I mean, he was really sweet, very shy. Um, you know, Definitely fell in love with him. He was somebody who I thought I would spend my life with, and me and him really hit it off. We were good friends. The problem is Kurt didn't like himself. Kurt did not like the fact that he was gay, and he was probably one of the most homophobic people that I've ever met. He hated being gay. He hated his, he had a horrible self-image. He didn't like himself very much. And that relationship, with all the good times, there was a lot of bad times. As the relationship started to progress, Kurt started to be physically abusive. And that's something that I'd never experienced in a relationship before. He became physically violent. He would attack me. He would beat me up. And this is all before I got into to law enforcement. It was during my college days. So I knew that this was the person that I loved, but I could not spend my life with. So I basically ended that relationship, and as hard as it was, I decided to move on, and be single again. And that's when I met Brian. Well, actually, that's not when I met Brian. Me and Brian were good friends during my relationship with Kurt. So he kind of was already in the picture, but I never really looked at him in that way. He was more of a friend than actually a boyfriend. So once the Kurt and my relationship ended, you know, me and Brian, became closer friends. He was actually there a lot for me during those times. He was there listening to my sad stories, and he was a good friend for me to cry on his shoulder. And then I started dating other men. I never really dated. I've always been in kind of long-term relationships. And so I started dating a variety of different men. And that's when Brian got jealous. And that's when Brian reached out to me. and score. 15 years later, Brian's still the love of my life, and I couldn't ask for a better husband and a better friend. And so sometimes, you have to go through some bad experiences to find the man you're supposed to be with. And Dan, I know that, you're hurting right now, and I know that, that you're having some hard times getting over your last boyfriend. But I want you to know that there's a reason why that didn't work out. There's somebody out there who's going to love Dan for Dan, and he's going to appreciate you for all of your uniqueness and all your creativity, your humor, and he's going to be comfortable with that. And you shouldn't settle for somebody who doesn't. You shouldn't settle for somebody who doesn't want Dan to be Dan. I know you're talking about moving to Australia, and I hope that I get to meet you before you do that. As you know, I find you incredibly talented, incredibly funny, and incredibly sexy, and there is the man out there for you. You just haven't found him yet. And for all you other single gay guys, don't settle. Do not settle. If you settle for somebody who doesn't fulfill you, that you don't feel like you have a real bond with, then you'll never find the man you're supposed to be with. If I stayed with Jesse, if I had stayed with Kurt, I would have never met Brian. Me and Brian wouldn't have the relationship we have today. So just, don't settle. You will find the person you're supposed to be with. It will happen. Maybe, a couple years down the road, but it will happen. Okay, you two. Till next time, I'll talk to you later.
And I believe that our love will fight its way through the current as the way